Fletcher versus Peck, a case in 1810. The main people involved were Robert Fletcher, John Peck, the Supreme Court, and the Georgia State Legislature. Robert Fletcher took John Peck to court because Peck sold land to Fletcher after the Georgia State Legislature repealed the act issuing land for people to sell given by them, the government. So therefore, Fletcher took Peck to court to get his money back because it was brought to his attention that the act was repealed, therefore making the contract invalid. In 1810, the case of Fletcher versus Peck was a case regarding whether John Peck did or did not have the right to sell land to Robert Fletcher. After the Georgia State Legislature repealed a specific land act involving the Yazoo land scandal, the case of Fletcher versus Peck was not too long after. The information Peck failed to process resulted in a full-on court case, disturbing Peck's and Fletcher's life. Before the case of Fletcher versus Peck, there was a scandal, a fraud, that absolutely set up the future of selling land to become more complicated than before. In the year 1795, the Georgia State Legislature ran into a bit of a problem involving massive territory where present-day Mississippi is. About 4 major companies represented themselves to the Georgia State Legislature as qualified to purchase 35 million acres from the state.
Our Georgia State was getting 35 million acres of land. Later on, this land act was appealed. Therefore, I am legally able to grant or sell this land to whoever I feel, no matter what the courts or anyone else had to say about this. Peck, as a result, was one of whom the land was granted to. Therefore, from this point on, Peck is responsible for the land and its issues. Fletcher by far is a victim of Peck's inconsiderate actions that has taken place. By this time, Peck could have read up on and realized that this is invalid and not possible, but he still chose to go on and sell the land to Fletcher.
The Federal Circuit Court ruled in favor of Peck because of the fact that in the time of the payment and trade of money for land, the act was in action, so they considered it constitutional. The main point of the court ruling in favor of Peck was to follow the ideas of the Constitution.
So basically, I think that I'm being deprived of my property rights because this man's Peck sold me this land and it was illegal. It's technically illegal because he sold it to me without telling me that it was illegal. It was a breach of contract. I don't know, but basically, like, I really just feel like I'm being deprived of my property rights because he bought the land legally, but a year later, Georgia voided the land and it became illegal, and then he sold it to me illegally. So I just think I should have rights, my property rights, and I'm innocent.
The main concerns of Fletcher was that he had purchased this land on illegal terms, technically, and he was in the mindset that he had been lied to by Peck, which outraged him.
It is not my fault that I sold Fletcher fraudulent land. When I bought the land, I had no knowledge of the illegal deals and bribery occurring in the Georgia State Legislature that led to me purchasing the 13,000 acres of land. I should not be accused of causing damage to Fletcher because I had no part in the misconduct that occurred in the Georgia State Legislature. I'm just an innocent third party who just bought and sold the land.
After hearing both sides of this case, I now rule that a grant to a private land company is a contract, within the meaning of the contract clause of the Constitution, and once made cannot be repealed. Moreover, the act of the Georgia legislature rescinding a land grant is unconstitutional because it revokes the rights that previously were granted by contract.
Although Peck had no legal right to sell the land after the act was repealed, which later resulted in the contract between him and Fletcher becoming invalid, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Peck, stating that even though the act was repealed later on, causing the contract to become invalid, at the time of the contract being signed by both Peck and Fletcher, it was in fact a valid purchase. So Fletcher kept the land and Peck kept the money.